Hello, and welcome to another edition of PaynePoints of Interest, where we talk about and answer questions relating to all things in small business. So grab your coffee, sit back, and join us as we start this discussion. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Harbuck, and with me today in the studio is Michael Payne, and we have a very special guest calling in, David Saphir. Thank you, David, for coming on our podcast again.
It is a real pleasure to be here today, Sarah.
Thank you so much. With everything that's going on in the world, it's nice to be able to talk to other people in different places and just sort of like get out of your own little bubble.
I agree. And it's nice, I picture you there in Texas. I'm here in Salt Lake City, and, it's nice to share with people from across the country.
Yeah, definitely. I think right now we need to feel more connected than ever. So anyway, we appreciate you being on again and offering your words of wisdom. We are going to ask some questions like we did last time. And the first one we have here is, I think, an interesting one for anybody when it comes to cash flow. How do you go about fixing your bookkeeping to manage your cash flow properly when you're running a business? So give us your expert opinion on that.
Okay, so the three basics are: one, you run reports on cash basis, which, just remember, it's cash basis for cash flow. A lot of accountants or a lot of books are run on what's called accrual basis, which I won't get into the details, but it doesn't work for cash flow. So that's number one.
Okay.
Number two is it needs to be done timely. In other words, don't wait to do it once a quarter when your taxes are due. And I'd suggest not even once a month. During today's situation, you should be reconciling once a week.
Okay.
Or more. If you're in a real cash crunch, do it every day. So timely. Number three is it has to be accurate. And that is probably the biggest challenge for people because they don't realize sometimes how inaccurate their bookkeeping is.
Give us an example. What do you mean by that?
Well, here's one example. I am working right now trying to fix somebody's books that worked with a bookkeeper who just was off. And so one example I will give you is when you need to make a personal cash infusion into a business, that is not income. It is equity.
Okay.
All right. And so it doesn't show up in your income statement. It shouldn't be there. And so you have to switch it to be equity, and it won't show up on your P&L.
Okay.
But it's part of cash flow. Mm-hmm. Another one is if you're looking at your P&L and you're just going like that, sometimes people will not catch loan payments and interest expense will show up, but not the capital. When you're repaying a loan and you're paying $100 to interest and $25 to capital, it won't automatically show up. And so you have to be careful of that. So those are some of the examples of just sort of scrubbing. And guess what happens if you move from 3 months to doing it monthly or every week?
You're going to be more accurate.
You're going to be more accurate, right?
So
because you're going to remember and be able to fix it quickly. Yeah.
David, I had a quick question on that. Is would it be helpful then for, if you're doing these reviews to not solely focus on the P&L, but to make sure you include your balance sheet within each of these reports that you're doing, no matter how often you're doing them?
Yes and no, but the real thing that people need is a cash flow management and projection tool. And that could be a spreadsheet or it could be software. But to start out with, use a spreadsheet because you're trying to figure it out and it's much more flexible.
Okay.
because that's really going to tell you what cash is coming in and what cash is going out. And then if you have a savings account that you can draw off of or put money aside for reserves, or a credit line that's just been sitting there for a rainy day, and you're not going to be able to make payroll or pay a key vendor, say, okay, now it's time to use my credit line. But then you also plan to put the money back as quickly as you can to reduce your interest going out.
Okay. For somebody like me who, when it comes to profit and loss statements, that stuff was always super confusing to me. I know how to
Yep.
balance a checkbook. That's about the most advanced bookkeeping, that and spreadsheets, that I did and do currently. So when you're saying you keep a record of your cash flow, what might be items on that spreadsheet that a person would have, like to track all these different things, as just an example for somebody who might be like me and is sort of completely dumb when it comes to things like this?
You are the perfect person to implement this, Sarah, and this is why.
Right, exactly.
No, I'm serious, because it's just go grab your checkbook.
It's basically
And
like balancing your checkbook, right? You just record
it,
every expense and every deposit. Yes?
that's where you start.
Okay.
Absolutely. You do historical, and then you can see patterns, and you say, well, listen, I just spent, let's say gasoline. You don't spend the exact same much amount on gasoline every month,
No.
but if you do it for 3 or 4 months, you know what your average is.
Right.
And you can figure out, oh, I fill up once a week or every other week. And then you can say, okay, this week my average is $30, and so is every week for the next 13 weeks.
Okay.
So there's a line.
Gotcha. Okay. So I have done it. I just didn't realize I was doing it.
You are doing, if you can do your checkbook, you can do the beginning of cash flow management, and then you've got to learn how to project, because that's not part of balancing your checkbook, right?
Right, right. The averaging and that's what you're talking about is projection.
Yes.
Perfect.
So that is the most fundamental, is what's called a cash flow projection. And a lot of software out there will do that automatically or semi-automatically. When you're looking at like a QuickBooks or a Xero, for these online packages, that is fairly easy to do, is just a straightforward projection.
Okay. And that really gives a person a clear idea of what their money situation is.
Right. And my suggestion is a minimum of 13 weeks to begin with.
Okay.
3 months is about as good as you can get for accuracy. But here's the real challenge with all you're doing is projecting, is that you're not really managing the cash flow. What do you do if you come up short and you're saying, oh my goodness, in 6 weeks I'm going to be out of money and in negative numbers?
Yeah, what would you do?
Well, um, great question, Sarah. You
Oh
would.
no, what do we do?
Well, then you start saying, okay, there's 3 or 4 ways to get your number from a negative to a positive. One is more money coming in. And that could either be through increased sales, accelerating the payments that people are planning on making. So get the money in from your customers or new customers. Number two, to get money in, would be the cash reserves, moving from a savings account into a checking account, or making a capital infusion as a business owner, or using the credit line to bring the money into your checking account.
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to pause there. Are we good with the money coming in?
Yes, I think that's a pretty good description on how you fix your bookkeeping to basically track your cash flow, making sure that you do it in a timely manner. Seems like common sense, but I know so many small business owners who will do it quarterly because they just or get too caught
Yep.
up with other things, and then it's not accurate, like you said it needs to be, and include all the details and the expenses and the income, and then they get a little bit in a pickle. So I feel like those are very
Yeah.
common sense things, but unfortunately, they don't get implemented as regularly as they should. And I always try to stay on top of that because I'm a type A personality, but also because it just gave me stress if I didn't
Yep.
know where my money was at any given time. So, yeah, I think that's a great answer, David. I hope it helps any of those people listening right now, especially in today's time. I think we're going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for being with us. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, you can find us on our social media, PaynePoints.com, Facebook and LinkedIn at PaynePoints, Instagram at Payne.points, and Twitter at PointsPayne. David, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social media?
You can find me at on LinkedIn is the easiest way. It's David Safeer, Safeer, and there's not too many of us of David Safeers. I've got a cousin down in Florida, but he's not active on LinkedIn. My profile is D Safeer, Safeer. LinkedIn is my platform of choice because that's where business owners are going.
Yes, awesome. Good. You guys can find him on LinkedIn. We've been doing a little bit of a highlight every week, highlighting local business, local small business. And this week we wanted to give a shout out to Standpipe Coffee House. They are located at 123 South 1st Street, Suite A. They keep us fueled on a daily basis with their variety of coffee drinks and espresso drinks and sodas and pastries. And the good folks there just, they keep us going on a daily basis. And the atmosphere there is great. So if you need coffee, you need a place to hang out once this whole COVID-19 pandemic is over, head on downtown to Lufkin, Texas, and grab you up some Standpipe coffee. All right, guys, that's going to be it for us today. Let's all get to work. Have a great day.